Josh, 3 ways to drop your mind into silence. Total silence. See, total silence, it's not possible 100% of the time. You're not going to have a mind that's just total, it's just so empty. No, it doesn't play like that. There can be times like that, but the intensity of every experience is going to vary and change. That's just what it is. There's no standard. Like the mind likes to project things like that. Like, imagine, whoa, if I'm enlightened, I'm not even going to be able. I can't even think. Like, I don't even have like how I'm going to just walk off a cliff, or I'm going to be in such deep peace, because my mind is so silent. All these fantasies that the mind conjures up around awakening, and then it judges others, and so they don't fit. Hey, you don't fit my checklist of awakening. You're not awake. And then they apply to their own self too, which keeps them stuck. They don't realize it's the mind and ego that created this checklist, and that's keeping them from never experiencing what their natural state is, because they keep judging it. So careful. But there can be times when you're totally there is no mind. Which one should I talk about first? Those who are real meditators, deep into Raja meditation, and you have your regular practice. This is what Yogananda is pretty much into when I was his teaching, and I used to get his SRF lessons back in the day, and it's just full of different techniques. So many techniques, I'm like, geez, I'll never get this. Too many techniques. But there's some people more prone to like these long meditations, and I used to go to like 6-7 hour meditation. There's something nice about that, actually. If you sit there long enough, if it's your destiny in that moment to experience this, you can also, if you force yourself to do something that you're not, if it's coming from the mind, you just force yourself. I'd done that too when I was a teen, and I would just go crazy. I'd hurt myself even. Trying to sit there when my body was full of life force. I didn't want to sit there. I wanted to go run around the track or something. And so we got to play with all that, though, of concepts, doing what we think is spiritual versus what the actual moment's calling for. But let's assume the actual moment is that you're more, your prakriti and your ganas align with having these long meditations. Of course, if you sit there and you just keep watching, or Vipassana meditation or something, then your mind's going to come to a total silence. And then your breath could stop, and then next, maybe your heart could stop, and okay. So that's an experience of total silence. But that's not everyone's way. You see, and it's a mistake if people or teachers or your own mind tells you that's the only way. It's not the only way, and it's not the way for a lot of people. What's another way then? I like the Advaita non-dual kind of check-in, self-inquiry, where I'm constantly just being aware that there's a presence here, and that's who I really am. That's my formless self, and the talking, the walking, the acting, the everything is happening inside this presence, but I keep my attention on this presence. That's the simplest way I can say. Now, at the same time, I'm living a lifestyle that's conducive for this practice. I'm not doing habits and addictions that are causing me a lot of trouble, and that's making my nervous system restless, because then you're not going to be able to do long meditation or check-in meditation. So the check-in meditation coupled with a nice balanced lifestyle, what will happen, it's not that you just check in and you just boom, you're blank. What happens with this is over some time, a period, you'll just spontaneously come into some silence. It just happens. You don't even know it's happened sometimes. It's like when you wake up in the morning, there's this total empty mind, but yet you exist. The consciousness is back in the body, but it hasn't totally incarnated back into the body-mind yet. It's like getting ready to. And there's that moment where you just, everything's super chill and quiet. So that can happen at any time, really. It can happen at any point. And I feel it's a direct result. Not always. There can be boons. Somebody could be just a killer, and then he's going to do his next job. He's a hitman, and all of a sudden, bam! He just gets blasted with some peace, and he can't even find his mind to find the gun to go do his job. That's rare, but it can happen. But most of the time, it's from having a diligent spiritual practice that starts to culminate inside. It starts purifying your gunas. You start to become more sattvic. Your rajousness starts to go down. Your tamas, which is dullness, it starts to get replaced with, with rajas, basically. Rajas means energy, dynamic. Tamas is just, you're just dull. People who smoke too much weed get like that. So then that starts to get replaced more with rajas, but then the consequence of that stage is like too much energy. These are your more vata type people, to use Ayurvedic language. They're like too restless, just can't sit still even for a second, So then that starts to get transformed into sattva. It's equilibrium. You're more chill. Tamas can still play, rajas can still play, but predominantly there's a centeredness. So having this check-in self-inquiry meditation, coupled with a balanced lifestyle, over time will purify the gunas. You'll have more of an equilibrium, and then in that, certain times it'll come. You just be super chill, super quiet, super empty. It becomes really easy to watch when a thought comes, because it's like there's so much space now between your formless presence. The identity is more with your formless presence than with the thoughts. Like the thoughts, most people are they're so intimately connected with their thoughts. The thought comes and they say, look this way, look up. You see, it's like one. But when you're more connected to your natural state, yourself, there's more distance, there's more space, and then you see the thought come. Whereas before, you are the thought, you see. Thought comes, thought says, turn your head, there's a noise. But you don't do it. It's like, whatever, noise, who cares? Everything becomes less reactionary and impulsive. And it's nice. There's nothing on an external level that can compare to this like free thing. It's free. You don't need to go buy a car or get a new relationship to feel a sense of aliveness. All you got to do is check in. It's free, but it's not so easy because of, who knows, lifetimes of conditioning to be identified with the body-mind. So that's why we need a spiritual practice to help undo that. The more that gets undone, the more these spontaneous states of just total silence can happen. But don't get attached to them either. And don't be like, oh no, the rajas. See, when the rajas element starts, then the mind can start talking again. It's like, what happened to my silence? This is life. It flows like that. You got to accept that. Don't let the mind, think there's something wrong with you. Oh, now I'm not awake anymore. I was awake. Now I'm not awake. This mind chatter. Catch that out. Say, okay, the state's passed. There's a little more, I'm a little more dynamic now. Okay, so be it. Total acceptance is where it's at. And then that will allow you to experience the silence paradoxically more anyway, because we're not fighting anything. That's my favorite, though, the check-in meditation in a balanced lifestyle. This is where I'm at. The long meditations, it's totally cool. If that flows with you, you got no choice. I have no choice, you see. We all got our thing. This is a diverse cosmic game that God created, and He has paths and everything for all different temperaments and characters and constitutions and karma and levels of consciousness and everything. So there's no standard. You can experience total silence. I mean, how about when you're playing your instrument or when you're painting? How about when I'm making a video? It looks like there's not silent because I'm talking, but there's total silence. I'm not, how can I think? I don't have time to think. I wouldn't be able to talk. My talking would be all messed up. I'd be like trying to fulfill some projected agenda or something that I have, and then it would, and the energy that's being transmitted the frequency would go down. I wouldn't be able to help people. When we find something, a creative art such as this, or painting, or drawing, or musical instrument, it's like when we're in that, the gate opens, so to speak, and then the real, like the cosmic force starts to flow through. Like some of these songs, you can just tell a mind didn't create these songs. Or movies, you can just tell it came from the emptiness because there's something about it. There's just there's something about it like that. It's not human made. Yeah. So what's the third thing? I saved the best for last. Plant medicine. If you ever did ayahuasca or San Pedro or magic mushrooms, if you do it in a proper way, you do it as a sadhana. You don't go do it, and I don't know how the people would do it and go to a rave party. That would be terrible. You do it in a ceremonial setting, or if you're seasoned and experienced, you do it alone, and you do it as a total spiritual experience. So I'll just share with you. The second time I ever did psilocybin, every time I did any of these medicines, they were just awesome. I'd already done like the inner work because I'd already had long time introspection, spiritual practice, and fasting, and raw food. Like I was very purified, the body mind vessel, and so all the issues and darkness and stuff had already kind of came out. So it didn't have any real work for the medicine to do. So it's like the medicine just turned into spiritual energy and consciousness, and I was like, that's why I liked it so much. I liked it so much, I did it too long and hurt my nervous system because it took me a couple years to recover from that. Second time I ever did mushrooms, spontaneously I was just thrown into ecstasy. I couldn't stop moaning. I was laying on my bed. It was total. That's what a real orgasm is, by the way. It has nothing to do with sex. It can be about sex or not. An orgasm is when the life force is flowing through your body. You're vibrating. Every channel and cell is just vibrating. That's what orgasm is. That's why, like, the cheapest orgasm is when the energy goes down and out. You don't want it to go down and out. Authentic tantra means the energy, you keep it in. You're orgasmic, but when the energy leaves, where's orgasm? It's gone too, right? So you want to keep it in and let everything vibrate. So anyway, plant medicine can do that too. That's actually what samadhi is, and that's actually what peace is. It's orgasmic. It's when your whole body, your life force is flowing. People think it's only about sex. The orgasm has those connotations to where they think you're talking about sex. No. So anyway, I was thrown into ecstasy. I don't use these words too often because they're, the foo-foos like to use them and stuff, but I really was thrown into ecstasy. I just couldn't, I was like, whoa, man, like, I couldn't stop moaning, man. I even wanted to take a video to tape it, not to put it on YouTube, but just to remember, because I knew it would pass. Something would. You can't stay like that forever. How are you going to stay? You can't eat or sleep or do anything like that. You're just totally like, I don't know. You just don't want anything. You have everything in that moment, but the body would die at some point if you don't nourish it. So, I couldn't find my mind. I had a paper, and I wrote some things down. It's like the psilocybin was my teacher, and it can be. All these medicines, just because they're in a plant body, don't think they're not a teacher. If you're tuned and you have a relationship with them, they can teach you something. So I had my paper, and I was going to bring my questions to my teacher. Well, look how good this teacher was. It took my whole mind away. I was still here, but I couldn't find my mind to get to the damn questions. I was like, I couldn't even think. to find my mind. It's just something was aware that something was looking for something to do something. And so there you go. After that, I realized, damn, that's the whole problem is the mind. Take the mind away, you don't have any questions about anything, or any problems, or anything, because you're one with yourself, your consciousness. Yeah, that was good. I couldn't. By the way, I couldn't. I wanted to tape myself, but I just couldn't figure it out. It was just too. It was, whatever. And so those things can be good to give you a taste of what real silence inside is. I've said before, the medicines have two purposes. One, to damn, what am I trying to say? If you have suppressed issues and energies and feelings that you didn't look at, the medicine can dynamite that and bring that to the surface so that it can be dissolved, because those things are blocking us on a subconscious level. But don't make the mistake and think, like, oh, I must have some issues somewhere. I don't feel them, but you'll know if you have them. Let life take care of you. It will guide you on this. We should get to the place where we can look inside and just feel like, do I have things I'm not dealing with, or am I good? If you're good, you just stay current. There'll always be something to process and come up. It's cool. But is there anything in you that you haven't looked at that's rolling around somehow, that's causing you to behave and act in a certain way? Getting bit, man. Like, this has got to be my last video for today. Making you behave in a certain way that you can feel is not your true self. But it's like these actions are coming from, they're being provoked by some kind of energy or something, some issue that's kind of abstract and you don't know what it is. You should be able to just check and see, do you have that or no? So the medicine can be good for doing that, uprooting that stuff. That's the word I was looking for before, uprooting suppression. Second thing it can be good for is giving you a taste of your own true silent nature. But the real work has to be done, the real transformation, the highest transformation has to be done in a sober state. This is what I realized. I wanted the plant medicine to be a loophole. I wanted to just be like, damn, I found it. I'm just going to do this. I don't have to, deal with the messy work of feeling all this stuff when I'm not under the influence of medicine. It's like, can I just skip that and just do the medicine? Because the medicine bypasses all that. It just brings you to your natural state. If you're ready, not for everybody. But no, you can't do that. It can give you a taste, but the real work has to be done like on the ground. So that's what I discovered. There's no loopholes. We got to go through this. And we have the strength to do it. This is the good part. It just may appear sometimes like, oh, this is too hard, man. I can't go another moment, let alone another day. That's a sensation that feels really real. Remember, this sophisticated virtual reality suit that we're wearing, God made this. All right? So that tells you he knows what he's doing. He knows how to make a game that's so real that we don't even know it's a game. Props. Have a good day.